This is Marty Stewart with SeminarSecrets.com. You can hear the complete version of this big seminar interview by going to www.SeminarSecrets.com.
I'd like to again welcome everyone to the conference call. My name is Armand. You're on the Big Seminar Preview Series, and tonight's call, a very special call with a good friend of mine, Jim Edwards, and Jim is going to be talking to you about something that you need to know for your business now and into the future. You know, if you could look through a looking glass, if you could look through a crystal ball and see what the next trend coming down the internet pipeline is, and put yourself right in front of it and start utilizing that before everyone else, I'm sure it's something that everyone on this call would want to do. Well, that is exactly what we're going to do tonight. We're going to look inside that crystal ball into the mind of someone that is doing it, which is definitely the emerging trend, which is something that he's been doing it for months and months, if not over a year, or several years now, actually. But you're going to hear
almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years now, and we're going to hear from him himself. The person I'm talking about is Jim Edwards, and I'm going to introduce Jim in just a moment. But you know, this is all brought to you by the seminar. Now, I want you to listen up real close because it's upon us. We've got about, I guess it's about 5 or 6 weeks left here before the actual seminar itself, and seats are filling up for our event. Some great speakers that are going to teach everyone 3 full days the true power, the true secrets of internet marketing, and you can learn it live in Los Angeles. I want you to listen up real close towards the end of this call because I got something that you definitely want to know about. So what I'd like to do right now is actually just get involved, get into the content, and actually talk to Jim right now. So, Jim, I'd like to welcome you to the seminar tonight.
Thank you, Armand. Thanks for having me.
Well, Jim, I know there's a lot of people on this call. Obviously, a lot of people want to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and everything else. But, you know, what I like to do with everybody is I like to find out a little bit of background about who they are, what they're doing. I mean, I know, we've known each other for a while, but I know a lot of people on this call aren't really familiar with maybe you and your story as far as how you got involved on the Internet. And just kind of in a brief few minutes, explain to everyone how you got involved in the Internet and the reasons why you got involved in the Internet.
Well, the reason why I got involved with the Internet was because I like to drink beer. But I guess I don't have enough time to tell that whole story. So the bottom line of how I got involved on the Internet was I had actually written a book. And back in 1997, I was at homecoming at college drinking beer with one of my fraternity brothers, and we were talking about, my book. And he said, well, you ought to put it up on the Internet. And so I started paying him $150 a month to host that website, and so I was so excited about that. And so I had this $150 I had to pay out each month. No real clue how to market on the Internet. My site was abysmal. No clue about copywriting or any of that stuff, but by just the process of banging my head against the wall and how to do stuff, eventually I got that site up to where I was making about $1,000 a month. And that's about where it stayed for 3 years. And then about 3-4 years ago, I ended up going to a seminar in Boulder, Colorado that was put on by a guy named Jonathan Mizell. And that's where the light bulb really went off, where I saw what other people were doing, and quite literally, I mean, just to cut to the chase, I saw a couple guys there that were making more in a month than I had ever made before in a year, and I took one look at these dudes, and I was like, if those guys can make that kind of money, I know I can. And so I went home. I saw one guy talk about copywriting. Actually, it was Marlon Sanders, and I saw him talk about the amazing formula. I took what I learned from him, went home, used it, and actually used it before we left the seminar, and took what I learned from him, and the sales on that website went up by 250% overnight. And so that's when I knew that it could be more than just a money hobby, that this could actually be a full-time income. And then I had something interesting happen to me about 3 years ago. I got canned from my job just as I had bought a house, and my wife gave me 1 month to be able to make enough money online to support us. And I ended up coming out with an ebook, what I co-authored with Joe Vitale, called How to Write and Publish Your Own Ebook in as little as 7 days. And by then I had come out with another product that actually is a multimedia product, my mortgage loan tips site. And Joe and I started selling the 7-day ebook, and then I did an ebook with Yannick Silver called 33 Days to Online Profits, and then it just kind of went from there.
So basically, you saw the value of the internet. You kind of eased your way into it, and then basically what built your belief system was really the success that you had on the net.
Right, and also a little bit of desperation. but also, it's funny you say that I eased my way into it when I really didn't need to. I mean, I was already making money. Any sane person would have said, gee, I got this one site that I'm making $1,000 on. If I went and made 10 sites that I was making $1,000 a month on, then I'd be making $10,000 a month. But I wasn't that smart.
Well, and also, like you said, it's desperation because your wife said either make this thing work or get a job.
Yeah, I mean, she was like, go down to Lowe's. You're gonna have to go down to Lowe's and get a job. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with working at Lowe's, but I mean, those dudes are sweating and lifting and doing some hard work.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I just was not into that. So
now you've done something. I mean, most people, or I shouldn't say most people, but most people know that they should have a newsletter online. But you've taken that concept of a newsletter from basically a flat, in some cases almost boring medium to something new and definitely exciting, especially with your Friday night SmackDowns.
That's entertaining to me, and I just bring everyone else along for the ride.
Now, just so people understand, in your own words, give people a little bit of an overview as far as what, just if you can. I mean, this is a real tough one, but if you could describe kind of what your newsletter does, because it's not what it is, it's what it does.
My I Gotta Tell You newsletter at IGottaTellYou.com came about because that's what I tell everybody when I'm not very opinionated. Yeah, right. I'm very opinionated, and I always say stuff, man, I got to tell you. Basically, you want to know what it is or what it does?
Well, both. Let's first start off with what it is, because
what it is a multimedia newsletter. And to my knowledge, it is the first all-multimedia newsletter ever published on the Internet. And by multimedia, I mean that it is operating exclusively with audio and screen capture video content up until this week, in which case we're going to be going to full streaming video this week, which is a very exciting development. But that's basically what it is. Instead of a newsletter showing up that's text, you go to my newsletter and all kinds of strange music and I'll say just about anything. All kinds of.
You've basically taken a newsletter and you've turned it into a full-blown talk show almost.
I've done talk show stuff. I've had people on there where I've done talk show stuff. I've done where I act a little bit like Howard Stern, where I show people like Mrs. Vanencini, my kindergarten teacher out in San Francisco, up at the blackboard. Just everything under the sun. It's like a combination of Oprah, Howard Stern, and my kindergarten teacher. A couple weeks ago, the newsletter issue was me and Yannick Silver wearing 70s tuxedos in Las Vegas, where I had a slideshow showing all the stupid stuff we were doing out there. So it's just about anything, but it's all either video or audio. That's the content of the newsletter.
And that's, highly different than almost every, in fact, I can't think of anyone else really doing that. Different people have done bits and pieces, maybe did a PowerPoint presentation, maybe shown a little video. I know Frank Kern has done some video stuff and some of the things that he sent out recently. But there's not a lot of people doing this. And explain to people why you actually went ahead and started going or moving towards this type of format.
Well, initially I did it because I just thought it was just plain cool and it was fun, okay? And so I'd always been into that kind of stuff. I mean, from puppet shows from when I was 5,
right.
Doing live animated types of things. And I just wanted to, I was having a lot of fun with it. And like I said, I was entertaining myself and bringing everybody else along for the ride. Now, that's how it started.
Right.
How has it evolved? Well, a funny thing happened along the way. A funny thing happened in that I picked up 10,000 very, very loyal subscribers. Now, 10,000 might, to some people, they might say, oh, that's not a very big list, Jim. And other people might go, wow, 10,000 subscribers, that's pretty good. But let me tell you what, if you can have 10,000 really loyal subscribers, that's a huge deal. Because I'd rather have 10,000 really loyal subscribers than 100,000 casually interested subscribers.
And go ahead. Let me just want to jump in because I think some people, have a misconception that it's the size of the list that really matters. Where, just like you're saying right now, is that a group of highly targeted people that are actually interested in reading your material. Because if you have 100,000 people on a list and yet only 3,000 of them actually read.
How big is your list actually?
Yeah, you really only have the 3,000 people. So I think that's just important to mention to people. It's not the size of the list; it's actually the quality of the list that really, really matters. And I know when I get your newsletter, I watch it, I listen to it because it's entertaining for me.
Well, and okay, you just hit on a couple of things, and the reason that list is so responsive is there's a few reasons for that. But the number one reason is because they're always getting value, okay, number one. Number two, it's entertaining. Because if you're boring people, they're not going to listen, they're not going to watch, they're not going to read, they're not going to have anything to do with you. And so the two things that right there are the value and the entertainment factor. Because if it's fun, they're listening. If it's fun, they're watching. And so those are really the two biggest reasons right there. And it's different. I guess the third reason would be it's different. It's different from all the other stuff that they're seeing over and over and over constantly, the same rehashed stuff, whereas when I'm doing it, it ain't rehashed. I mean, it's first run, baby. And some of it's outrageous, some of it's crazy, some of it's informative. I mean, it's all over the board. But the bottom line is that it's valuable, it's entertaining, and it's different.
I think, for a person to really appreciate it is for them to subscribe to your newsletter, which is they go to www.igottatellya.com.
Right.
They can subscribe there, and
for $50.
For $50 only.
No,
actually, if you go there to subscribe, it's free to sign up for. Just go there, subscribe to it. I'm telling you that
I got to tell you
that this is it's amazing, and you will just love the content that Jim has. And you'll learn a lot of neat stuff. I know, and you have different. I noticed in your newsletters that you talk about things that are either, in many cases, things that are just bugging you at that time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I already got another Friday Night SmackDown. I had some pinhead email me that I had a 30-day guarantee on a product, and this bonehead emailed me and wants a refund after like almost 60 days. I emailed him back and said it's a refund period, it's 30 days. He says, kick me off all your lists. And I'm basically doing the Friday Night SmackDown right now.
Right.
I mean, I'm just going to make fun of this guy because it's crazy.
Right.
And so, I mean, people want to know what the real deal is. And if they see and hear you in your own word and your own words and your own voice and see what's really going on, it makes this big mystery of what's going on the Internet not so mysterious. And they see that guys like you and I are real people, and it allows them to bond with us more fully than to think that we're these unapproachable characters out there in the Internet that are living in, I don't know, some ivory tower.
Right. Well, it's funny that because, folks, what you've just heard, the way Jim just talked about this particular person who rubbed him the wrong way.
Who ripped me off.
That's exactly what happens on his Friday SmackDown. Because what he also does is he also adds different sound effects to it. You may hear like a boing or whatever it may be during the whole process, and that's what makes it's funny, it's entertainment, and also you learn because again it brings out the obvious. I mean, in this particular case, I mean there was a 30-day guarantee on it. The refund period is at 60, where he wanted 60 after 60 days. He wanted to it, which if you walked into a store, you walked into every place else, if the refund period is over, the warranty period is over, then you're out of luck. It's the same thing, on the internet, and that's why people are trying to distinguish the difference. And I mean, I can appreciate how that is.
So I gave him back his money and blacklisted him and told him I would.
Right.
I mean, but the thing is, the point is that unlike a print newsletter, and I'm not bashing print newsletters because I've got 2 of those as well. I mean,
right.
I'm rather prolific as far as the creation of material. But the great thing, and I can hear people out there, oh my God, this Jim Edwards guy, he's mean. He's really mean. I don't want to buy nothing from it. I mean, I'm actually a very nice person. Just ask anyone that knows me. Not for very. No, I'm just kidding. But the whole point is that if you want a list of people to bond with you and to feel like they know you, multimedia holds the key. It really does. Because now, here, I'll tell you a couple other great things about having a multimedia newsletter and having such a responsive list of caring, wonderful subscribers like I have. Number one, I can get feedback from these people instantly. Okay? If I have a new product, like I've had a product, I launched a product last year called 5 Steps to Getting Anything You Want. Before I went to all the time, trouble, and expense of creating that product, I created the first 2 tracks of that product and put it out to my newsletter and said, hey, guys, what do you think of this? And I had hundreds of people emailing me going, wow, that's really cool. When's it coming out? Now, if you have hundreds of people saying, wow, that's really cool, when's it coming out, what does that tell you should do? Make the product.
Exactly.
And so right there, having that list, they let me know what product I need to put out. Anytime I want to try something new as far as technology and doing my thing with the multimedia, all I got to do is publish something out to them and say, hey, I'm trying something new. What do you guys think of this? And they'll tell me what they like and what they don't like, and I can instantly get better. So in the course of a week, I'm able to do what would take most people months or even a year to figure out, I can figure out in a week.
What you're doing is, I mean, because of the fact that it's multimedia, because of the fact that these people are getting more and more used to seeing what you're doing and you're testing different ideas on them, you're increasing I guess this is the word, responsivity. If it wasn't, it is now. You're increasing the responsiveness of the list itself.
Sure, because I'm involving them. It's not a monologue. It's me. Most newsletters, if you think about it, are monologues. I send something out in printed form, and then maybe a few people will comment on it, but it's a lot harder to get people emotionally, and that's really what you're doing here, is you're getting them more emotionally involved because you're involving more of their senses. And the more emotionally involved they get with you, the more responsive they are. And it also, quite frankly, makes it a lot more fun to come out with your newsletter.
Right.
Because it's one thing to say, oh, my God, it's Tuesday again. I'm supposed to come out with my newsletter tomorrow. What the hell am I going to write about? And so you're sitting there like you're back in Mrs. Vannon's.
You have just listened to a portion of this Big Seminar interview. To get the complete version, simply go to www.seminarsecrets.com. Find out how you can attend the next Internet Marketing Big Seminar. And for a very special offer you can't refuse, visit www.seminarsecrets.com.